Florida, a place widely known for its wild and unpredictable offerings, a place known for its hot weather, long sandy beaches, and amazing nature, world-famous cities, intense wildlife, and an unbelievable cultural influence. I spent 2 weeks in Florida, and like every other time I've explored the state, it left me amazed. Good morning, guys. I'm here in Florida City, about an hour and a half south of Miami. Last night I slept at the Cracker Barrel, which they all offer free sleeping overnight in all locations in Florida and in other states. The next couple days we are going to be spending in the Florida Keys. Be my first time there. The first day we're going to be going from Marathon Key and back, and then the second day will be spent from Key West and all the way back. So I'm super excited. Going to be getting off the mainland Florida for a little bit and just ready to go. The Florida Keys are a Coral Cay archipelago that form the southernmost point of the contiguous United States. These keys start near 15 miles south of Miami on Florida's southern mainland coast. They move south to southwest in a gentle arch movement until the dry Tortugas Islands. The keys lie along the Florida Strait, which divides the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. Most of the keys lie in Monroe County, Florida, in which Key West is the most populated city and the county seat. U.S. Highway 1 connects these keys with over 42 bridges leapfrogging across the water. Alright guys, we're at Curry Hammock State Park, located just east of Marathon, Florida. The park offers plenty of activities along with kayaking, kiteboarding, hiking, and there's some beach activities as well. There's a yellow flag today. It's really windy and the waves are really rough, so won't be kayaking, but they do rentals for one kayak or two, one person, two-person kayaking per 2 hours, I believe, and then also kiteboarding. Not going to be kayaking today, obviously, because of the wind, and I've never done it before, so it's not going to be a great day to start. But I am going to do the hiking trail, which is the Curry Hammock Nature Trail. It's a 1.3 mile hike and it's mostly flat. The park protects large areas of mangrove swamps, rockland hammocks, and seagrass beds essential to Florida Keys ecosystem. The park is the largest undeveloped parcel of land between Key Largo and Big Pine Key. Forest is really thick. You gotta duck your head and you gotta move side to side to avoid some branches. It is really hot, but the breeze feels really nice. Even being covered by all these trees, you can still get a good glimpse of the wind, which shows you how windy it is today. So the Florida Keys is some of the newest land in all the United States. The Keys were once just rock. It was a rocky landscape, no dirt or no nothing. But you look at the Keys now and there's plenty of plant life flourishing, and you wonder where the dirt and all the soil came from. Well, it came from Africa. As we know, sandstorms, hurricanes come off the east or western African coast. The sand from the coast, the Sahara Desert specifically, goes high up in the atmosphere, gets carried across the Atlantic Ocean, and then over years and years and years, it just helped form on top of the Key West to now create nature and flourish life. Henry Flagler wanted tourism to go across the Florida Keys, so he had a railroad built to link Key West and Miami. Due to water being deeper near Bahia Honda, the bridge had to be built differently with steel trusses instead of a concrete arch designed for better stability. The bridge was converted to a highway as automobiles became more prominent, but the bridge has since been decommissioned and is now acts as an overlook and a part of history. Alright guys, we're at Long Key State Park, which is just under 1,000 acres located at the 67.5 mile marker on US 1. The park offers water activities like snorkeling, kayaking, swimming, but it also offers hiking, which that's what I'm going to be doing today. And I'm doing the basic 1.0 mile nature trail that goes pretty much through the forest and then along the shoreline here on the Atlantic coast. Long Key provided entertainment for the rich and famous along with the world's best saltwater anglers, with the Long Key fishing camp becoming extremely popular. Flagler's Overseas Railroad brought these people over until the Labor Day hurricane of 1935, causing major damages to the railroad and the island. So far the trail is really clear and it's well shaded. It's actually really nice because sometimes Florida trails have no shade or they're too crowded with stuff that's around you with deep forest and you're constantly wondering if there's a snake right beside your ankle or something like that. But this one, it's real nice. As you can see, the bottoms are cleared off real good, well shaded like I said. And it's just a nice stroll, honestly, it really is. It feels real nice. I knew after I recorded that, I was thinking in my mind, I probably just spoke too soon about this, and unfortunately I did. It's a decent amount without the shade, but it's really not that bad at all. Depending on what time of the day it is. If you're here late evening like me, it's not bad at all, but earlier in the day, I can see it being a little rough. That's the first snake I've seen today hiking. It's just a little black snake, but what I saw it, I was walking by and I can see the back of him, and I like made my way up his body and I saw his head a little bit closer to the trail. But what I was meaning about the bottom of the trail being really nicely cleared out helped me see him. I've been on some trails where I would have never seen him, just with the leaves and how closed in everything was around you. So it was pretty nice to be able to see him beforehand, even though he probably wasn't going to do anything to me. Black snakes are a little bit more laid back and they're not really wanting to harm you, so that is good. I've seen a billion black snakes and I hope I continue to see a billion more instead of other snakes. Good morning guys from the Keys. We're at Dagny Johnson Key Largo Hammock State Park. The state park doesn't allow for vehicles past the gate entrance, which I've never had before, and I've been to hundreds of state parks. So kind of weird, but we'll check it out. I'm going to get some nature footage and just go on a nice peaceful nature trail to start off the morning. The park is named after Dagny Johnson, who led various environmental organizations to stop the planned development for much of North Key Largo. The park contains one of the largest tracts of the West Indian tropical hardwood hammock in the United States. Well, if you come to this state park, prepare to get bit alive. Definitely bring bug spray like I said before, but all in all, just a nice little nature trail. As I started to get deeper into the trail, mosquitoes just kept getting worse and worse, so I ended up turning back because I do not have bug spray on me and I'm not getting eaten alive. So that's all for here. our first state park of the day, and then on to John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park, which is about like 10 minutes down the road. We're at John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park. It's a beautiful morning. It's breezy, the wind feels amazing, but unfortunately because of that wind, it's caused a lot of havoc for my trip. I was going to do a glass bottom boat tour yesterday, ended up getting canceled because of the wind and the waves. I wanted to reschedule it for today, but unfortunately going to Key West, it just wasn't going to work logistically. We weren't going to have time to be able to do it. I also want to kayak, but the waves are pretty rough and I've never kayaked before. It would be my first time and I'm by myself, so I don't know if it's such a good idea. I'm going to talk to one of the rangers and see what they think, but we'll just have to see how it goes. I'm not feeling very confident about it, but I am intrigued and excited. I want to do it, but we're just going to have to wait and see. The Florida Keys have the only living coral reef formations found in the continental United States, and without this park, the reef would have taken even more damage. The park is named after John Pennekamp, who was an assistant editor for the Miami Herald, who teamed up with Dr. Gilbert Voss to protect a 75 square mile section of the offshore Florida as a permanent preserve until eventually becoming a state park. Touching this kind of tree will give you the same effect as if you got poisoned with poison ivy. It's pretty crazy that a whole tree has that same kind of effect, and this kind of tree is found nowhere else in the United States but in Florida. A lot of this forest is brought from seeds that was flown in by the easterly winds from the Caribbean. The only other places you can find this kind of forest is in West Indies and the Caribbean. The reason for the forest to really grow here well in Florida is simply it's warm enough. The seeds get blown all over North America, but just with the weather, it's not able to grow as well as it's able to grow here in Florida. So just another reason on why like Florida's nature is just so unique to the rest of the country. It's really unbelievable. The land that the park sits on was sold to Florida's East Coast Railroad Company, which used the stone to build Henry Flagler's Overseas Railroad. After the railroad was completed, the quarry was used into the 1960s to produce pieces of decorative stone called keystone. I am currently standing at the highest point in the Keys. The highest point in the Keys is about 16 feet above sea level. It's pretty tough to distinguish in different locations what's the actual highest point, but in this whole area right here is the highest it gets in the Keys. The National Key Deer Refuge is home to more than 20 threatened plant and animal species. Among these is the key deer, in which the park gets its name from. The key deer is the smallest subspecies of white-tailed deer that are found throughout much of North America. The key deer is unique to the lower Florida Keys, and they are found nowhere else in the world. Located on the southern edge of Key West, Fort Taylor is a National Historic Monument that was built before the Civil War and currently houses the largest cache of Civil War armament in the world. The fort was built to protect the harbor at Key West along with the island itself. The fort was used during the Civil War, Spanish-American War, and World War I and II. It was once 3 stories tall, but has since been reduced to 1 story. The battleship Maine was anchored in the Key West harbor, a short distance from the fort, with it leaving for Havana Harbor in Cuba. 3 weeks later, there was a mysterious explosion that sank the ship in the Havana Harbor, which started the American-Spanish War. Other than this, the fort has never been shot at and never has shot out a bullet. Key West is the southernmost city in the contiguous United States, with the most southern point only being 93 miles from Cuba. That makes Key West closer to Cuba than it is to Miami. Key West has been a strategic location for whoever has owned the land, from Great Britain to Spanish to present-day United States. The Keys have been so amazing and unique. I've been surrounded by crystal blue waters for the last couple days, and it really gives you a different outlook on life and how peaceful it can be. My time in the state of Florida is sadly nearing its end, but I still have one more amazing place to explore, and it's another national park. There's 2 national parks left in the state, so stay tuned for next week and find out what park I visited to conclude my trip in Florida.